gonna stop being lazy. Yeah. And I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come here.
Welcome back to the Silver Lining. I am your host, El Hombre de Plata, and for my English speakers, that is the man of silver. And this is my co-host, Cam the Conqueror. What's going on with you, Cam?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling great. It's been a good weekend. Ready for the Falcons, ready for Terry, like my name, to take over free agency.
Well, we're gonna be waiting for a little bit, but we'll see what happens with that. We're gonna get into that. So first week of free agency just went by. You know, that legal tampering period started on Monday, and it is now Sunday. We've officially waited a week, see where things going, see where things develop. And we added some guys, we lost some guys. First and foremost, I think we got to acknowledge that, on the last episode, we shouted out Keanu Neal as a Falcon good that just retired. Well, today we lost a Falcon great. Not today, but, this past week, we lost a Falcon great. Number 97, Grady Jarrett has signed with the Chicago Bears. 10 great years for us. 10 years in the league in general is a successful career. To do 10 with a single franchise, that makes you one of the greats for that franchise. Definitely wish that man a ton of success. Thankful for everything that he did while he was here. Really wish that we could have, been able to keep him. Sucks to see that he was going to be playing in that blue, orange, and white. But wish him nothing but the best. Anything you want to say about our man, big number 97?
Absolutely loved him. And it's kind of going around that like Arthur Blank doesn't really like to draft people who have questionable character. And you could never say that about Grady. He truly exemplified what it meant to be a Falcon on and off the field. He gave us our all, even during our downtrodden years when we were trying to rebuild. One thing we could rely on was Grady Jarrett, a Falcon staple,
Yep.
who was there to disrupt a play when we needed the most. Hell, I got a Grady Jarrett jersey. It sucks that we couldn't win that Super Bowl. I think he was a rookie that year, or it might have been his second year, and he played phenomenally in that Super Bowl. Yeah. And it just sucks that we couldn't get that ring, and such is the curse of the Falcons. We're just fighting to get back to the promised land to kind of like redeem ourselves. But yeah, I like you. I wish Grady nothing but the best, man. I know he was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. Was truly a man loved in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
So I wish him best with the Bears. He's on I wouldn't necessarily say greener pastures because I still feel like
he's in another chapter of his life, man.
He's on another chapter of his life. And I'll leave it at that, man. I have nothing bad to say, nor will I ever have anything bad to say if the Falcons play the Bears. I hope he plays well, but I hope the Falcons win.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like when your kid is playing against your favorite team. It's like if your kid got drafted by the Saints, you were like, well, I still want my boy to do good. But the Falcons got to win, man. Fuck the Saints, bro. I'm sorry. Clearly it's not personal. I wear like one of them little half jerseys that's like half Falcon and half your name. You know what I'm saying? I ain't wearing no full Saints jersey. Fuck that. But
hell no.
And I ain't trying to shame nobody who happen to have a kid that's a Saints player if you're a Falcons fan. I'm just letting you know I ain't doing that shit. All right. But yeah, that's how I feel with Grady. Now, we also lost our starting center. Probably one of the best, if not the best, late round pick Terry Fontenot's ever made. In Drew Dalman. And to me, that's gonna stink a little. With Ryan Newsel looking like the guy who, by the way, he was tendered. I can't remember the name of it. It's an exclusive rights tender or something. I can't remember, but basically, we can match whatever contract he gets if we want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And if he hadn't already received a contract offer from somebody, he'll be back on the team in no time. I don't know what round we tendered him at, but he's a free agent tender. So we just waiting to get that caught up. Now, when we talk about the football side of things, I think we're gonna notice the loss of Dahlman in the run game. Dahlman kind of had a problem dealing with power, so honestly, I don't think we'll notice that much of a difference in the pass protection game. Um, and from the financial standpoint, we're gonna see. We had to save that bread. Drew is the second highest paid center in the league, but it wasn't as much money as I thought it would be. I'm not sure how I felt because like I said last week, if we make Drew Dahlman like one of the top paid centers in the league, shit, he can't do that here. If he become the top paid center in the league or one of the top paid centers in the league, he can't be that here. And it's a decision that's a hard one to make, but I almost feel like you had to make that one because it's like, how much more money are you going to throw at slightly above average players? No disrespect to Drew Dahlman.
Hey, we've seen teams do it for quarterbacks repeatedly throughout the league, and I don't want to call out any names, but hey, there are a few quarterbacks who are getting paid best in the league money, but they haven't really shown anything for it. Dak Prescott.
I thought you weren't throwing no shade.
Hey man, and I like Dak. I was a big fan of him when he went to Mississippi State. I've been a fan of him early on in his career. I don't hate Dak, but at the same time, he just has not done enough. And he's not the only one. We got quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence getting paid top 5 bag when you're not a top 5 guy. We got guys like Tua getting paid top 5 bag when you're not a top 5 guy. So like we got guys who are making a lot of money who don't really deserve it. Hell, we got Kirk Cousins. And honestly, if you want to, we're gonna eventually get to this. Kirk Cousins is making quite a bit of money, but at the same time, like because I know you mentioned earlier, we got to get the money from somewhere. We're already pot committed with him. So even Kirk Cousins is getting paid a lot of money, and he at one point was playing very well with us. But then as the season progressed, he put out a lot of bad tape.
Yeah.
Sorry, technical difficulties. One sec.
Well, until when Cam comes back. Oh, there you go. I was about to say, you want to just pivot the conversation directly into talking about Kirk and then double back to free agency?
Absolutely. So like my TV, like if it turns off, it automatically will go to kind of like a low-fi feed style channel.
Background screen.
Background. So that turned on. I'm like,
okay. All right. Well, look, pivoting it, man. Let's talk about Kirk because look, let's be real. That's the jewel of the podcast right now, man. Kirk is giving us a lot of content. And some of it not even his doing. His roster bonus apparently kicked in over the weekend, which I swear to God, I need somebody to have a hard schedule on when these things come out. I need it from the league office because I felt like I was hearing from every single source that his contract wasn't due until tomorrow at 4 p.m., the 17th, where it kicks in, 5 days after the start of the league year from the 12th, right? And then I see that the money kicked in and is guaranteed on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? But that aside, look, we said how we felt about that on this podcast. I was beating the drum about, hey, we need to keep Kirk. All right, because all letting him go does is create a hole at backup quarterback that you got to go out and fill. Somebody else get the benefit off of your money that you paid. You know what I'm saying?
And that's less money on another player.
And then you're doing it you would have been cutting him to save $10 million in 2026.
Yeah.
You're not saving $10 million on 2025 free agency. You're saving $10 million on 2026 free agency. Now, I know some people are like, oh, that's $10 million. Da, 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 da. Well, hell, y'all always be saying every year, hey man, the salary cap goes up. The salary cap goes. Well, it's gonna go up, and we're gonna eat that $10 million. Arthur Blank's a billionaire. What's he care? And to be fair, and another thing too, I heard was Kirk Cousins was not Terry's guy. That came from Blank.
Arthur Blank wanted him? I thought it was maybe Raheem.
No, I believe that was I think that was Arthur Blank who called for that. You know what I'm saying? Because and it makes sense. You know, you always got to look at the human perspective. Arthur Blank is getting a little long in the tooth. And you know, team hadn't made the playoffs in 8 years. And he's like, hey, we've been kind of having this revolving door at quarterback. I just want to get some stability there. And if that means that, you know, we got to go after the best free agent quarterback available, I want to go ahead and do that and bring him here. And that's what happened. But if he did do that, that would make a lot of sense on why the owner's like, well, hell yeah, no, we ain't about to let him go. I done already signed up. I just gave him $62.5 million last year. He dues to at 27.5 this year, regardless of when I cut him. What's another $10 million the year after? You know what I'm saying?
That makes perfect sense, and that's why I love what Arthur Blank said. He said, "Well, do what's in the best interest of the team, and what's in the best interest of the team is having Kirk as a backup. Yeah, it's an expensive backup, and yeah, we played a big premium on getting Kirk, but like we have said on many podcasts, and what we will continue to say is that the worst place you can be as a franchise is in what?
Quarterback purgatory.
Thank you. It's the worst place to be. It's where a lot of teams are right now. A lot of teams have subpar QB play. A lot of teams just have it. And in order to get to the next echelon, you have to have elite QB play. Unless you build a team complemented to the player, like Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts. And granted, I think Lamar Jackson is elite. And I'm just gonna say it. Some people may disagree with me. I think Jalen Hurts is elite. Yeah, he has a lot of talent around him, but let's not forget that man outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. He lost one of them. Another one, they beat the brakes off of him.
The last one to me though was more about his defense. Like, if I'm being candid, I didn't think Jalen Hurts played to Super Bowl MVP level. But they don't like to give group awards out for individual accolades like that. Like, that should have been a Philly D line as the Super Bowl MVP if we're being real. Man, Josh Sweat was beating the hell out of Joe Tooney.
No, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Patrick Mahomes was getting killed. They had like what? How many sacks did they have? They had like 6 sacks, maybe more.
No,
was it 6 sacks and 8 hits and no blitzes and no blitzes?
Yeah.
How the hell is D-line not the ones doing it?
Like if you
how many of them touchdowns the offense for the Eagles scored off of a turnover from the defense?
That's a good point.
You see what I'm saying? So that's just me personally, but you know, sorry to jump in and hijack the point. I know you're saying that. What your point was that some quarterbacks, at least some quarterbacks, you got to kind of build around. I got you. Go ahead.
But even still, though, Kirk played well for a few games, and then he went on a bit of a stinker. And then not only did he go on a bit of a stinker, after the season, comes out and shits on the team, saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was hurt." Like, dog, you are the reason we lost those games, not the team, because the team was in it for majority of them. Like the Broncos game, we got our ass beat. We
got pushed down over a bus. So
that was gonna happen no matter what. But that Chargers game, we lost that game because of Kirk Cousins. That Raiders game, we won that game in spite of Kirk Cousins. Mm-hmm. Like our play, we missed out on the playoffs because of this play. We could have had you on the bench a couple games before that and had Michael Penix come in. But I get it. You didn't want to lose your starting job. You compete. You want to play hurt. I get that. But then to come out and say you want us to just trade you, like, nah, player.
He didn't even say trade.
Or you want us to like make a decision, like, nah, it's fine. Bring a heating pad. Put it on that. Put it on that bench and get real cozy because you're about to sit on it. And you go and hey, you want to start? You got a chance because the quarterback we have, and as much as I believe in Michael Penix, has injury history. So there is a chance you can come in and play. I pray we don't get hit with the injury bug and that does not happen. But it could happen. And I'm cool with Kirk Cousins coming in and playing because if he was hurt like he says he was hurt, that means he still can play. And that's another year removed from your Achilles and whatever little shoulder or elbow injury you had, you'll be healthy from that. So I'm assuming on the off chance that he does play for us again, we'll get good football.
We got so it's funny you say that. I got a couple of theories. So obviously, one of the things I've been hearing the speculation was that Kirk wants to wait until after the draft to see what teams do. That way, I mean, I guess he wants to go to a team that has a wider opening at quarterback or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just like coward. But also, I'm like, you can't beat out a rookie for a spot. But also, one of the things that's kind of like a conspiracy theory I'm having is, given the timing of it all, and look, Kirk doesn't necessarily strike me as this type of person, but given the timing of it all, it is rather convenient that, his injury came out when it did, right? Would you say so? Now, one of the things I think about when I think about Kirk Cousins is better than a football player, is he a businessman? You know what I'm saying? A meticulous one at that. A lot of players do not play on franchise tags. He's a quarterback and he played on the franchise tag 2 times. And then when he went to Minnesota for the bag, made sure it was 3 years, fully guaranteed money. And he didn't necessarily take the best offer. But he considered things like, what's the offensive situation here? Does this team play in a dome? Does this team not play in a dome? He thought about a lot of things like that. You know what I'm saying? He's always done and made decisions that's best for his brand. Maybe he could have just chased the bag and been playing outside in a swirly, windy stadium and that shit not look so good. Or he signed a big contract with a shitty team and then he looked shitty. And people blaming him, but he like, nigga, the situation is shitty. You know what I'm saying? But I think maybe, this is the opportunity where Kirk looks at this and he says, ooh, after that tape I put out, maybe I need to make people think I was hurt. Maybe I need to make people think my bad play was for a reason that can be fixed. For all we know, maybe Kirk just shot. Yeah. But if Kirk comes out and says he's hurt, regardless of how good or bad that looks on the team, I don't even think it's about that because Kirk operates on what's the best business for Kirk Cousins company, not, you know what I'm saying? And what would be good for business is that teams out there that are potential suitors believe that his bad play was linked to an injury he had. You know what I'm saying? Because like I keep hearing people wanting to blame the coaching staff and saying, "Oh, you're telling me you didn't know your quarterback was hurt? Well, how the hell he's supposed to know he hurt if one, he keeping it a secret, or 2, and more importantly, he's not hurt, but he's saying he was to make teams say, oh, Kirk probably healed up this year. He's probably gonna play better."
Hey, and
you see what I'm saying?
I'm not against it if it means we can get a higher draft pick for him because at the end of the day, we're on the hook for the money.
Look, we don't have to be either. If Kirk, look, I said this last podcast, if Kirk really wants to play, he can come up off of some of that money and he can get out of here.
You don't want to play that.
I believe exactly. Because I'm like, look, Cleveland want him. Bro, Cleveland, boy, the best quarterback Cleveland got on their roster right now is Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're about to go to battle with Kenny Pickett? You think that's what they're about to do?
His job, he won't.
And look, the only issue is them boys done paid all that money to Myles Garrett. They paying Deshaun Watson. They kind of tight against the cap right now.
They are.
And so, maybe we could work something out. But I'm like, hey, Kirk, look, you got an offensive coordinator that knows you, and you got a team that got an opening. Honestly, Kirk, if you really want to play, the situation is set up. You know what you got to do. Like, look, they said with every great negotiation, both sides leave the table a little unhappy.
Exactly.
All right. This is going to have to be one of those situations where you got to leave the table a little unhappy, man. You done got $62.5 million. And guess what? If we trade you, you get the full 100.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Honestly, whether you trade it or stay, but they'll cut him next year because there ain't no way they about to, because his cap hit is absorbent after this. But I mean, my thing with Kirk too is that the plan. I'm like, well, if I recall correctly, and this is why I supported them keeping him, but if I recall correctly, the plan was always for Kirk to be here for like 2 years and then cut Penix. So no matter what, we were supposed to already have Kirk Cousins money on the books for both of those years.
Exactly. You nailed it. The plan was we didn't think Kirk was gonna get benched year one. The plan was Kirk starts 2 years, and if he's good, he earns the third year. He earns the third and fourth years, which is why I like how Terry front loaded the contract.
Yeah.
He had to earn the third one. From the looks of it, he's not earning the third one. Unless something catastrophic happened, then Kirk goes on a fucking tear.
Yeah.
He's not getting a third year. And when I say goes on a tear, I mean like he goes on like on a playoff run.
Bro, that man going to tear. We trying to trade that man. We gonna be like, hey man, y'all want him? Go ahead, somebody go ahead and pick up this contract now that we know Kirk's still good.
Exactly. But like at this point, we're already on the hook for the money. So I envision us trading him sometime middle of the season when like a good quarterback gets hurt, or like a team who's like on the who's on the verge, who's on the edge of QB purgatory. They have a pretty good team, but QB plays a little shaky. I can see them making a push for him. But as of right now, who I doubt they do it, but they might because considering we're already paying them. You know who needs a QB? Pittsburgh. They've built a good team. But who are their options? Russell Wilson, because Justin Fields has already signed with the Jets. You got
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and I would say Kirk is the third option for them.
Pretty much, because you're not going to get a QB in the draft. You're not going to be
not at that high. Not. I mean, this would be a disaster for them to take a quarterback. This is like that draft reminiscent of when they took Kenny Pickett.
Oh, of course.
Kenny Pickett wasn't the first round quarterback the year they took him. Desmond Ridder wasn't the first round. That's why we didn't take him in the first or second round, even though a lot of people were saying he was either the best or second best quarterback of that draft. You know what I'm saying? And boy, this is one of the times where I gotta admit, being a Falcons fan is a roller coaster because we got a quarterback controversy, but it's not because we don't have a quarterback. We could have been one of them teams having to get a quarterback this year in the draft.
Oh my God, man. Oh my God.
Oh.
And that's why I don't blame Terry for what he did. He saw the opportunity at 8. And at the time, I was upset because it was 8.
Yeah.
But as the way hindsight is 2020.
It's crazy. That shit go crazy, ain't it?
Like, hey, we got Penix. That's why I'm not too upset. Yeah, we paid Kirk all this extra money to be our backup. But the QB room is sorted. We're not in QB purgatory. We're out. For the time being.
Hopefully. I don't want to count the chickens before I hatch, but you can't tell me Michael Penix Jr. wouldn't easily be the number 1 quarterback in this draft.
You don't tell me that Michael Penix Jr. didn't pass the eye test in the last 3 games.
Fair enough.
He passed the eye test.
And look, and you would expect, now provided, he continues on his trajectory, you would expect that you're not seeing the best version of him yet.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He gonna always have certain issues, but like some of his talents are very undeniable, and it's just crazy. Boy, being a Falcons fan, man. Y'all don't get sick of this? Not like sick, like I hate the Falcons sick, but like this shit spinning so much, I'm about to throw up.
Dog.
I remember
we have another left-handed QB with effortless arm strength.
Let me tell you something, bro. I remember watching the game between University of Washington and Oregon. Right. And I can't remember how many times they played that year, but I think it was in Washington, and just that game turned into a shootout. But bro, this man in that game, I ain't gonna lie, man, that man Michael Penix balls that look so big. I ain't even talking about the one he was throwing, bro. I'm talking about just the way that game went down and how aggressive he was and how he always, like, every time the Oregon Ducks threw a haymaker, the Washington came back, and it was usually because of a play Michael Penix Jr. made or a throw Michael Penix Jr. made. And I'm like, boy, and, we had Ritter and Mariota at the time, and I'm just thinking, boy, if we can get our hands on this guy. And then we signed Kirk Cousins, and I'm just completely not thinking about quarterback. And then we picked Michael Pittman. We picked the guy that I wanted so badly, not even 5 months ago. And I'm acting like, oh my God, this fucking franchise sucks. I hate these sons of bitches. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, and now we're excited again because we took him. And it's like, man, that's a real roller coaster. But like you said, well, look, we're not in QB purgatory. Honestly, like I said, and it's so funny how every week on this damn podcast we came out and we said, hey, no way should the Falcons, we said the Falcons should just keep Kirk Cousins and keep the contract. I mean, if it's guaranteed, that the whole point of guaranteed money is that you're paying it whether you're here or not.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we done gave him the money. If you get rid of him, you create the hole that you got to pay money to fill. So you paying him and you paying the money for the other backup quarterback you're going to bring in. And he's probably going to be a downgrade. So you're paying to downgrade the guy who's going to play if your starter gets hurt. Like, I think backup quarterback might be the most overrated and underrated position in the league. I cannot believe how many, I cannot believe how much of a joke that is, and how everybody, that's a lot of money to pay for a backup quarterback. Well, fuck, if the Dolphins paid a lot of money for the backup quarterback, they probably would have made the playoffs last year.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Who else had they started get hurt, and if they would have took the backup quarterbacks, and like the Dolphins have a quarterback with injury history. Tua ain't exactly been an Iron Man. He ain't exactly been Tom Brady. Or Brett Favre. Brett Favre had a huge, long, consecutive games played streak.
Or Matt Ryan, for that matter.
Matt Ryan, yeah. Like what? Matt Ryan missed like 3 games his whole career?
I think so, yeah.
He missed 2 his second year. I remember that with the toe. And then he hurt something, and I think we played the Seahawks, and I'm going to say Matt Schaub started. But that's it. And obviously, he had some benches at the last part of his career, but he didn't miss those games due to injury. But yeah. I'm like, boy, you ain't got the Dolphins do not have a quarterback that has a history of just playing in games, and they be just playing around with that backup QB spot. I'm like, look, if you have a quarterback that's good, but he get hurt, you need to have a backup. Hell, speaking of Matt Schaub, on his first stint in Atlanta, he was a 2nd-round pick, even though we had Vic. Because they were like, oh, okay, that's baked into the cake. When Vic is your quarterback, he's going to miss some games. Better take that investment seriously and use a 2nd-round pick on a guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, man, y'all in that quarterback shit. I'm like, man, the only thing you need to look at is how much money you are allocating towards that position in general. And the plan was for, like, I'm just like, literally every bit of sense says, no, you should keep Kirk. Because you're either going to pay to downgrade the position, or you're going to keep the guy, and you're going to keep that position upgraded. You're going to keep a guy who you had already intended on being on the roster during that time. You're keeping the guy who is not. And if we're being real, Kirk has some up and down, but some of that early down part can be forgiven given the situation. New team, new players, new system. I mean, it's the same system, but it's not the same play caller that he had worked with before, coming off of an injury. Like, you can kind of forgive that Pittsburgh game, even though Pittsburgh made a fool of him. Zach Robinson made a fool of him too, with that pistol shit on every fucking play. And it's like, oh, pistol, that mean run. Shotgun, that mean pass. Like, they didn't have to guess. You put Caleb McGarry in a bad position too. He got beat like a drum that game, and that's on Zach Robinson. But I'm like, don't sit here and act like for them first 9 games, Kirk ain't had y'all boys shook.
Exactly.
Kirk ain't had them boys in the league shook.
We were 6-3, bro. We were
boy,
6-3.
That boy Kirk was dealing too, boy. Don't sit here and act like Kirk ain't threw for 500 yards. And then he chased that game with the game against the Panthers, which wasn't a half bad game. Right? And then somewhere along the line we lost to Seattle. And then he put that thing on Tampa again. Then he put that thing on Dallas. Like Kirk was Chef Kirk, man. He was cooking.
6-3, leading the division. We thought the playoffs were coming.
Yeah, boy, we thought that shit was imminent.
And you know why I think he was hurt? Because his play legitimately fell off a cliff.
It did.
Like, don't get me wrong, Kirk was making mistakes beforehand, but
no, his play got worse. That was a conspiracy theory I said earlier. That's not necessarily what I think happened. It's just a conspiracy theory. But yeah.
Yeah, but like I legitimately think he got hurt. I think so because his play
against the Saints.
A cliff.
It did. On one of them sacks we let through. They hit him right when he was throwing in the elbow. And you know, when you get hit in that elbow, sometimes that jars up to the shoulder. I ain't gonna lie though, man. He had a lot of throws that wasn't because of no damn shoulder though.
Oh like that one against the Chargers in the back of the end zone was unforgivable.
Oh, what the fuck? That was just one of them boneheaded ones that I hate. Like, I think I hate stupid plays more than any plays. Like you know, high effort or doing too much is one thing, but stupid play, that was a boneheaded one. Like one of the plays I hate the most in football is guys running free and then they hold the ball out or something. No, even more than that, because at least that one involves another person making a hustle play to catch you. But when they just drop the ball before the end zone, boy, look, I couldn't be. That's one of the times I'm like, maybe I couldn't be a coach. A motherfucker dropped that ball before the end zone, I'm benching him for the rest of the game. I'm so serious, bro. That could be a guy who just scored a touchdown, best player on the team, or dropping the ball before the end zone is the most boneheaded, stupidest play that a player could make. Wouldn't you want to hang on to a ball you just scored with?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey man, these boys about to get me. I'm about to put in another 30 minutes not talking about bullshit, just getting on the ring because these boys, that shit pissed me off. That play that Kirk threw that ball on, that was a stupid play. That was a stupid play. And I'm just like, you did the one thing you couldn't do in that situation. We could have kicked the field goal and we would have still been in it. You did the one thing you couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, with Kirk, it's just, I'm like, look, I ain't about to sit here and let nobody tell me that Kirk wasn't on the heater for a minute, showing you what he could really do. And then, you know, we saw a fall off and he fell off for 5 games. And honestly, that is where you had a quarterback controversy a little bit, because if we didn't have a backup, he would have just started the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And honestly, you know, how fortunate or unfortunate it is, the record probably would have been the same. Probably would have beat the Giants and probably would have lost everybody else. And maybe, you know, Kirk would have came back better. Usually his second year in an offensive system is a better year for him. But hell, that only tell me more why we need to keep him. I'm like, oh, okay, so we getting second year Kirk Cousins as our backup.
Another year removed from his Achilles.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Look, when people say we should have cut Kirk, the issue I think I really had with that was I don't think there's a single person out there that could have told me how that benefits the Falcons.
It doesn't, man. And they keep trying to justify, like, oh, you got to get whatever kind of return you can. That's not necessarily true.
No, if we cut him, what's the return though?
Exactly, because what's the return? There is no return. We already paid him all this money. The return is keeping him. Keeping him is the return.
Like even as a backup,
if something happens, you have an excellent contingency plan.
Them boys say cut him.
It sucks we're paying a premium for him, but it is what it is.
Hey, look,
we got fantastic coverage.
Who Deshaun Watson play for right now?
The Browns.
Why he's still a Brown?
Because they paid him over $200 million in guaranteed money.
Exactly. Yeah. You think they want to keep Deshaun Watson? They'll cut the hell out of him right now. But guess what? The money say nah. it'd make more sense to keep him because we out that money anyway. This is the same thing, except instead of being locked in for 3 more years because of a fully guaranteed contract, we only got 1 more year. What we paying them? I don't know, man. Look, I could harp on this all day long, but anything else you want to say about this?
I think we pretty much covered everything. We'll see how the season progresses. We'll see how.
No, I mean about Kirk Cousins. I just want to ask you a few more things about free agency.
Oh, about Kirk Cousins, we're kind of done with at this point. It's kind of like you said. Like I'm more than likely he'll be a Falcon for the remainder of the year. But who knows? Who knows what happens who knows what happens after the draft? Who knows what happens during the season? Somebody might get hurt and we end up trading them. Maybe we get something in return. Who knows, man? But at this point, he's a Falcon, and the way the money is set up, he's a Falcon. I'm cool with it.
Hey, me too. I'm glad everybody else decided to get on board. All right. Now we're gonna talk about free agency period and then wrap this thing up. So good bit of reason why we're talking about Kirk is because if I'm being honest, Falcons was a little boring in free agency. A little boring in free agency. Not that that's the worst thing in the world. Because happy our guys are getting paid. But the Bears might have overpaid for it.
I agree.
Look, I love Grady. And honestly, if you ask me, I would say he was our best D lineman last year still. I think the year before David Onyemata was outplaying him before he hurt himself. But I think last year Grady went back to being our best D lineman. But that's still not 2018 Grady Jarrett. That still ain't 2019. Actually, I think I read a report about that. Somebody's like, do the Bears know they paying for Grady Jarrett in 2024 and not 2018? It was like, and I'm like, man, don't get me wrong, Dolman good, but man, second best highest paid listener in the league. So, you can make exciting moves, but that don't mean they're good moves. But one of the things we did, we went to that bargain bin and we plugged Leonard Floyd, bringing him home, baby. University of Georgia. I remember good old Leonard, which is so crazy. I didn't think he'd be like a pass rusher, really. I remember people saying him as an edge rusher, and I remember he wasn't really an edge rusher like that in college. Like he rushed the passer some, but he was also an off-ball linebacker. Which I mean, I'm just like almost looking at his wiry frame, and I'm like, y'all think that dude gonna like a 6'5", 240-pound guy is making a good NFL edge rusher? I don't know, but he's been pretty serviceable, and I think for us, as long as as long as he's a piece to a whole, that could be a good piece.
I agree, piece to the whole. If he could replace like Lorenzo Carter, because like his Carter, as much as I love him, Norcross product, I went to Norcross. His production wasn't there. If Leonard Floyd could play that role and add production in that kind of role, because I doubt he'll be like an every down kind of guy. He's more like a third down kind of guy, especially at this point in his career. If he can if he can replace Lorenzo and then add some production, like if he could be an 8 to 10 sack guy, it'd be perfect, man. It'd be perfect. Like granted, we're gonna need to fill some more holes on defense, which I'm assuming that's what we're gonna do in the draft. But as far as like adding Leonard Floyd, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I like that move.
Oh, that was the move that made me most excited, to be honest. I mean, look, the guy is he's solid, man. He got a couple moves. He still got some quickness, some suddenness, so he can win a head up matchup sometimes, but because of the speed, he got good closing speed, so he can get cleanup sacks. Good on stunts. He's actually a little versatile. He can play 3-4 and 4-3. You know what I'm saying? He can play in both fronts. So, and we paid him $10 million. We paid him $10 million. You know what I'm saying? So in 1 year, that's like the Terry special. A 1 year prove it deal for a guy. The only issue I always have with people we pick up, especially pass rushers, is that they got to pay the Falcon tax. That mean that mean whatever your sack total was, we subtracting at least 2 off of it.
I was gonna say cut it in half.
Yeah, cut it in half, right? 50%. So what? What? He had like 8.5 sacks. All right, y'all. Here come that 4-sack season coming in real quick.
Bruh,
To
it'd be
the
like
title
that.
again, right? We re-signed Mike Hughes, 3 years, 18 mil. Which, by the way, just throwing this out there. The Bears are basically paying Drew Dahlman at 14 mil a year. They're basically paying Grady Jarrett 14 million a year. For 13 million, we got Leonard Floyd and brought back Mike Hughes. So that's just kind of a way to look at the money and look at how it's spent, right? I like adding Mike Hughes back. I thought he was solid most of the year last year. He wasn't a spectacular corner. I would still love to see the Falcons add to that position in the draft. But at the same time, I mean, look, he's a guy who could play nickel. He's a guy who could play outside. He plays zone. And he was a great tackler, actually. He might have been our best tackling cornerback, at least for passes that went out to his side. You know what I'm saying? And if you can get, your second starting cornerback for 6 mil, which I did the math wrong. We're not paying 13 mil for for him this year. We paying 6. So that's for 14 mil. They paying Grady Jarrett and Drew Dahlman a year. For 16 million, we get Leonard Floyd and Mike Hughes. So that's good. You got anything about Mike Hughes?
Oh yeah, Mike Hughes is very solid. I still think we need a little bit. Well, our defense needs help everywhere. But yeah, Mike Hughes was very serviceable.
I mean, he's 28 too.
Yeah, he is, and I think we're gonna need a true number 2 corner.
Yeah.
And I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I know we mentioned it just offhandedly in other podcasts, but like we were thinking about who do you take at 16? Do you take an edge rusher or do you take a corner? Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm cool with best player available, and I'm cool with either of those 2 options. Because if we go corner, this is the best corner that we can like the best corner in draft. I'm cool with that.
Yo,
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I am good on that. Like that's okay by me, as opposed to taking like a project edge that may or may not work out.
Yeah. That's always the concern, man. It's like, yeah, it's a deep class, but is it like top heavy as well? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
I saw a lot of people saying that, and I hadn't evaluated them myself to say, because I feel like I got to put in a certain amount of legwork to give an evaluation on the draft prospect. Like with Penix, I watched literally every throw across his college career back to Indiana. I felt like I was educated on how this guy played. I don't feel that way about these guys that's pass rushers in this draft. I try to not get too deep into that shit because that's how every year the Falcons disappoint us, even when they draft a good player, because we get so attached to the people we think they're supposed to draft or who they're going to draft. And then when they draft somebody different, you get upset. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to not do that for my sanity this year, right? But I was hearing a lot of reports that the only real, bona fide first round pass rusher in this draft was Abdul Carter from Penn State. So it's like, and then, James Pierce Jr. and Mike Green having character flags. I'm like, so that's 3 edge rushers that won't be available when we pick. So it's either take the 4th best pass rusher or potentially the 1st or 2nd best corner. I hear that kid out of Texas is amazing. And he's a guy who could be a nickel or a safety for us. You know what I'm saying? They said maybe he wouldn't be the best pick at 16, but if you could trade back, you could probably still get him, which, by the way, anytime somebody says you can trade back and still get him, that's a fucking lie. The NFL's a scam and like that. They always convince you that, we could have traded back and got that guy. I guarantee you, if we traded back, we wouldn't get Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, we were not.
Dash.
So,
they told you he was the 2nd round? No. That ain't what was going to happen.
There was no chance.
We know the Raiders. Raiders fans don't like Falcons fans, and that's like that's apparently that was one of the things I found out. They was pissed when we took Michael Penix Jr.
They're like, they don't even need a QB. They just got Kirk. Hey, and that's why the Raiders. I guess are they still? They just signed Geno, so I guess they're not in QB purgatory anymore. But hey,
you ain't in QB purgatory until you're out of it. I mean, you ain't out of QB purgatory until you are. As far as I'm concerned, until Geno throw a pass and show they ain't in QB purgatory, they in QB purgatory. I don't give a fuck if Tom Brady hop out the owner's booth and get back on that goddamn field. They in QB purgatory until they out of it. All right, I ain't trying to hear that shit. But yeah. Other notable free agents. We added Morgan Fox, a guy who's got 15.5 sacks over his last 3 years. Falcon tags. I bring that down to 3 sacks for us. So as far as I'm concerned, he just a guy. He's just a guy. You know what I'm saying? Now if we add a guy that had 16 sacks, I'm like, all right, we're getting the ball no matter what. You know what I'm saying? But if we add a guy that had 8 sacks, I'm like, hey, if he had 8 sacks or 5 sacks or whatever number of sacks he had with another team, go ahead, subtract 2 or 3. And that's what he's gonna do as a Falcon. So Morgan Fox, he a piece to a whole, not as big a piece as Leonard Floyd, obviously. So that's another guy. We added linebacker Divine Diablo from the Raiders. I looked at some of his plays. Former safety in college. Makes me think about Foy Olakun, but Foy went to Yale, so he was one of them heady guys. He was one of them smart kids. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how much that applies to Devon Diablo. The contract we signed him to, though, I think it was 2 years, $14 million, leads me to believe that I think they intend on him being a starter.
I think so as well. I think he's like a bit of an improvement from Troy Anderson.
Yeah, and I mean at worst he'd be, late Lamb's guy, but I'm like, well, fuck, man, with the way Troy get hurt, bruh. It's like you gonna put your eggs in that basket again. I almost feel like Devon Diablo was specifically a Terry signing because Raheem only had 1 year of 1 year of Troy Anderson getting hurt on him.
Yeah.
I feel like Terry was like, damn, boy, you hurt every year since I done had you on this team, boy. We got to get somebody back here that can do what he does to a similar level or better and cheaper. And, he's not gonna he's not a guy who's gonna morph this defense. But he does bring a skill set that Troy Anderson has, but something that Nate Landman don't have, and that's that sideline to sideline speed. Wish Nate Landman the best too, by the way. Loved all the hits he put in, but he just ain't got the speed, man. The NFL still there. It's parts of the NFL going back to these big old lines and this downhill blocking game, but now they got the mobile quarterbacks and shit now, and they still want to spread you out and still run the ball down your throat, and then it's getting a harder league for a guy. It's getting to be a harder league for a guy like Nate Landman to have a place. All right. Any thoughts you got on Devon Diablo, man?
Nothing really. I haven't really watched any tape on him. But from what I've heard, especially from other Raiders fans and whatnot, he's a good addition to the piece. He's one thing about him is the best ability is availability, and he tends to play majority of the games, and I do like that. So maybe he is a Terry signing. Maybe he's like, hey, this guy plays like Troy, but he doesn't get hurt. Okay, let's sign him. Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's got some injury history, but not as bad as fucking Troy, man. Jesus Christ! Like the worst part about Troy is I think Troy is talented. He just can't stay on the field long enough to put it together. Like I felt like that Saints game he had, the first one in the bins. I'm like, yeah, that's peak Troy. That's the Troy you can get if he can build off of a game like that. But he had a game like that, got hurt in that same game, missed a bunch of time. Now you got to come back out there and start over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, as far as free agent signings go, I think it was a good start. I like how we re-signed some guys as well. Like we re-signed Jake. We re-signed Jake. Who else did we
extended
re-sign?
Jake? Yeah, we extended Jake. We re-signed Cadero.
So like I like and Taquan as well. So I like some of our re-signings and some of our extensions and whatnot. I like what we picked up in free agency so far. Like it's been kind of boring, but hey, boring isn't necessarily bad. Hey, but boring can be good. But yeah, we got a lot of money tied up in Kirk at the moment, so that's that. unfortunately, I'm not taking it off the books, but hey, maybe we can produce a bag or a comp package for Trey Hendrickson. I'm not
I would
saying
love that.
I would love that. Not saying it will happen. Most likely it won't, but I would love it. Apparently, teams are willing to pay him, but the problem is the Bengals want more picks than other teams are willing to give up, which is understandably so. And at the time, we as a team can't afford to give up picks, especially this year. We only have 4 of them. Maybe next year, but even still, then next year, I don't want to give up any high value picks. Maybe some middle of the table picks, but nothing high value. Nothing within the first 3 rounds. Actually, I could do third rounders. I could
Real talk, bro. With the way
even
Terry draft, it's a piece of me that's a little okay if Terry overpaid for it a little bit. I'm like, okay, what you gonna get me another Richie Grant with that second rounder? No, I'll take Troy. I mean, I'll take Trey Hendrickson. You know what I'm saying? What, you gonna give me another Jalen Mayfield with a third rounder?
Oh my God, dude.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like, man, with the way Terry drafted, I'm like, well, fuck it, man. Use the picks as assets then.
Yeah.
You don't already going all in on being unconventional. What's a little bit further?
Nah, I'm with you. And at this point, you're coaching for your job. So if we don't make the playoffs, there's a good chance Terry's gone. So we'll see.
Hey, man, I ain't gonna lie though. I ain't sure if he is, man. That's kind of scary because, there's a lot of stuff we pin on Terry because he the GM, but like, I'm like, Ryan Pace kind of was making a lot of these moves. I remember seeing Ryan Pace signings, and I'm like, well, who the fuck the GM for us? I'm like, if I'm the GM and I'm the guy who getting fired when this team sing, I ain't signing nobody else picks. I'm signing my guys.
Yeah,
because I'll get fired on guys I'm signing, and I know we were signing a bunch of Ryan Pace guys, and I don't know, man. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, honestly, free agency was kind of boring this week. Almost didn't even do an episode, but thank God Kirk gave us some extra shit to talk about. And there's still a lot more to go. We're gonna see what next week of free agency brings us. We know what in about a month and a half, we got the NFL draft. So hold on to your butts, folks. Now, one thing I do want to also note, though, I do think that if Trey Hendrickson gets traded, it'll be either at the draft or closer to the season. But I do think if Trey Hendrickson's willing to hold out, I believe since the Bengals already have him under contract, they're like, shut up, get in here and play. So I don't know if I'm getting my hopes up about a Trey Hendrickson trade, but we'll see how it plays out.
It depends. Hey, the Bengals fucked up because now they got to pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. If I'm them, I'm letting T walk, and I'm re-signing Trey Hendrickson. But hey, I'm gonna let them do them. And if Trey fell to us because they put all their money to the offensive basket, so be it. Let them score 50 points a game and figure it out.
Yo, that might not even be enough. With all the games that they had where Joe Burrow threw for like 500 yards and 4 touchdowns and still lost, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. That shit remind me of
Dan Marino.
Was it 2018? I think it was 2018. Matt Ryan was going crazy that year a little bit. I remember we scored like 30-something points in back-to-back games and lost both of them at home.
It's the Falcon way.
I was just thinking that shit, boy.
It's the Falcon way. If it ain't one thing, it's another.
Hey, man. But shit, you know how it is. We used to suffering. We can always see the silver lining.
Ooh, that's a good way to end it, my boy.
All right, guys. Well, look, we appreciate you spending a bunch of time with us today. If you got any thoughts, please let us know in the comments. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell. We want to know some real niggas uploading. Peace.